All right, Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and name of His Son, Yahweh Shai. This is going to be a quick video. I'm going to try to make this video as simple as possible, mainly to the Christians, because they make it way harder than what it is. And what I'm finna go into was who was Paul writing his letters to? Who was Paul writing his letters to? It's simple. It's simple. It's simple as day. And if you didn't know who Paul is, he wrote half of the New Testament. And if you didn't know he was writing a letter, he was writing a letter. He was writing, it's called a epistle.
Epistle.
It's called a epistle. And if you look at the definition of a epistle, it is a letter. I don't know if you can see it. The definition of a epistle, it is a letter. You don't know if you can see it. It's a letter. So here he writing a letter to a specific group of people. And it tells you who he writing it to. People think Paul letters is for everybody. Paul letters is not for everybody. I'm going to show you who was Paul writing his letters to make it simple as day. So if you now think about this now. Or you can just read. No, matter of fact, read it. Paul is writing a letter. He always say to his saints, or he always talk about his brethren. He talking to his brethren and the saints. Now you got to figure out who are the saints and who are the brethren, because those are who he writing the letter to. It didn't say he writing it to everybody, and when it used that word all too in his letters. But you got to think about it. Whoever he writing the letter to, that's who the all talking about. Just say I'm in the classroom. I'm a teacher, and I say all y'all that don't do your homework, y'all getting the F. Am I talking about everybody outside the classroom too? I said all though. I said all. Am I talking about everybody? No. I'm talking about all the people in the classroom that don't do the assignment. Same thing with Paul. When he used that word all or everyone, he's not talking about everybody. He's talking about all the people that he's talking to, that he's referring to in the letter. Now, if I write a letter and then I put it in somebody's mailbox, can somebody else come and take it and read it and say and claim it to be theirs? No, that's a crime. But that's what these other nations doing, these heathen, when they read Paul letters, they're trying to make it refer to them, but it don't have nothing to do with them. Paul is writing these letters to the Israelites that was in a Gentile state of mind, because he said there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek. He writing that because Israelites was called, Israelites was called Gentiles too. You gotta understand two types of Gentiles. You have the Gentiles by blood, which are the other nations, the heathens, and you also have Gentiles. You also had Israelites that was called Gentiles because they was in the Gentile state of mind. They was doing the customs of the other nations. So they were looked at as being Gentiles. That's why Paul was sent to the Israelites that's in the Gentile state of mind to tell them to come back to the Most High. He not writing to these heathen. Why would even Yahweh Shah, who the world called Jesus Christ, in Matthew 15 and 24, he even said he wasn't sent but unto the lost sheep of house of Israel. So why would he send? He even told his apostles in Matthew 10 and 5 through 7 that don't go into the way of the Gentiles. So why would he tell Paul to go there if they wouldn't even go in there? Because it's two types of Gentiles. The Gentiles that Paul went to are the Israelites that's in a state of mind. And I'm going to show you that by who he writing the letter to. I'm going to show you that. And first, let me show you that in 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians, it also tells you, it tells you that we was once called Gentiles. Let me get it, Salaki. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 2. And it says, ye know that ye were Gentiles. So we know when he's saying ye were Gentiles, that means you're not Gentiles anymore. The heathen, they Gentiles forever. It ain't no more them, they ain't Gentiles no more. They Gentiles forever because they Gentiles by blood. But when he said Ephesians 2 and 2, 1 Corinthians 2 and 12, ye were Gentiles, carried away into these dumb idols, even as you were led. So we was called Gentiles because we was carried away to these dumb idols. And if you read the Bible all throughout the Old Testament, what Israel did. We kept going off. We kept worshiping these other idols. So there's nothing new under the sun. We was called Gentiles because we was in a Gentile state of mind. We want just like some of our people now. They still called Gentiles because they ain't came back to the Most High. They still celebrate Christmas. They celebrate Thanksgiving. They eat pork. They eat crab legs. They Israelites by blood, but they'll be called Gentiles because they're in the Gentile state of mind. Now check this out. I'm going to show you something else. This is I'm trying to make it as simple as possible because people be making this hard they be making it way harder than what it is. It's Ephesians chapter 2 verse 11. Wherefore remember that ye were, wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the uncircumcision in the flesh made by hands. That at that time ye were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise. Now remember that word, the covenant of promise. They were strangers away from the covenant of promise. Now who was the promise given to? The promise wasn't given to everybody on the face of the earth, and I'm gonna prove that to you. They were strangers away from the coming. They were strangers. Let me get it again. They were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of the promise, having no hope and without God in the world. So they were strangers away from the they were strangers as well because they wasn't in the land. So also they was also called Gentiles because they wasn't, they was born maybe in a heathen land, and they were following the customs of the heathen. Just like now, we in America. So our people following the ways of America, so they'll be looked at as Gentiles. Looked at the same as America. What America's slogan is, in God we trust, we all one, equality. So our people that's in the Gentile state of mind, they look at it as being equal as the other nations. They equal to the other nations because they're in the Gentile state of mind. They don't know who they is. So they join hand to hand with the other nation, doing what the other nation doing. That's why I say ye were Gentiles. It's talking to the Israelites that were Gentiles and they came back to the Most High. That's what it's talking about. Yo, that and then, I'm finna show you. Remember now, it said the covenant of the promise. Now, who received the covenant of the promise? I'm finna get to that soon. I'm gonna get to that. I'm finna get to that real quick, like real soon. But now I'm finna show you. If you look at Paul's letters, you gotta look at it, man. Just read in the beginning of the letters. It tell you who you're writing to. It always either say the brethren, my brethren, or the saints. That's who he talking to. Hold on. If it don't say brethren in the or the saints in the beginning, it's gonna say it throughout the letter. That's how you know who he talking to. It is said throughout the letter. And James make it clear as day. James get straight to the point and tell you who you writing to. Let me show you. Hold on. I forgot what. Salaki, bear with me. James get straight to the point. He gets straight to the point, man. And if the Gentiles were the other nations, what about Obadiah? It's still a prophecy that didn't happen in the Old Testament yet about the other nations about their judgment. It's some prophecy like Isaiah 14:1-3 didn't happen. The whole book of Obadiah didn't happen yet. Psalms 137 and 7-9 ain't happened yet. Psalms 1:4. Let me show you. All this prophecy in the Old Testament about the other nations being destroyed ain't happened yet. So why would the Most High turn around and give salvation to the Gentiles, the heathens, and some prophecy in the Old Testament haven't happened yet. Some of the prophecies ain't gonna happen until we get into the kingdom of heaven. So let me get that, man. It's crazy, man. It's just read. It's so easy, bro. Show you that Paul is not talking about the other nations. Hold on, let me show you some prophecy that haven't happened yet. I got it written down in my book, so I know it ain't happened yet, cause it ain't. Wow, that's a lot. All right, so you got why I wrote that at, man. Hold on. I'm finna get to it. But Con, it's a lot of it's some prophecy that ain't happened yet about the other nations' destiny. What's gonna come to the other nations, especially the book of Obadiah. The book of Obadiah, you read the book of Obadiah talking about the Edomite destruction. We know that ain't happened yet. It ain't happened yet, right? Now, why I wrote it down there? Gotta be in the back. Gotta be back here. I'm getting close. I'm getting warmer. Boom. Psalms 137, 7 and 9 ain't happened yet. Psalm 149, 6 and 9. Psalm 149, 6 through 9 ain't happened yet. Talking about these other nations. Psalm 68 and 21 and 23. And this King David writing. This is the King David writing. This ain't happened yet. Obadiah 1 and 15 ain't happened yet. Amos 1. Oh, no. Amos 1 and 11 ain't happened yet. Obadiah 1 and 18 ain't happened yet. And 2nd Ezra 6 and 9 ain't happened yet. Old Testament. All the Psalms is in the Old Testament. That ain't happened yet. And it's talking about these other nations, what's going to happen to them. Isaiah 14 and 1 ain't happened yet. Through 3. That ain't happened yet. It ain't happened yet. So, why would the Most High, it'd be like the Bible contradicting itself. The Most High turn around and give these other nations salvation, but they didn't get this judgment that happened, that he said was going to happen for what they done to the blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. That ain't happened yet. So this is how we especially know Paul is writing to the Israelites in a Gentile state of mind that was calling themselves Gentiles. So now I'm finna show you, man. I'm finna show you who are his brethren. Who is Paul's brethren that he be talking about in his letters? And who are the saints that he be talking about in his letters? Real simple. I'm gonna get the phone quicker, right? So let me get who the saints are. Who the saints are according to the Bible. Real simple. And people go to all the other nations gonna be blessed. All the other nations, just because it say all the other nations, all the other nations gonna be blessed, that don't mean they're not gonna be in the captivity. They're not gonna be. That don't mean they're not going into captivity. They're gonna be blessed because they're gonna have to keep the commandments. And we know that the commandments are a light. It's a blessing. It's a light to keep the commandments. So it don't mean that the other nations is not gonna go into captivity and get their judgment when they say all the nations under the earth gonna be blessed. It means they're gonna be blessed because they're gonna be able to keep the commandments. Don't he say blessed are thee that keep the commandments? We blessed because we got the commandments. And we get everlasting life. I think it's Revelation 22 and 14. We blessed because we receive the commandments. So the commandments make us blessed. Us keeping the commandments make us blessed. So these other nations in the kingdom, they still gonna be slaves and handmaids according to Isaiah 14 and 1 and 3. But what's gonna make them blessed is them keeping the commandments. They're gonna have to keep the dietary law. We're gonna make them. If they don't, we're gonna make them. They're gonna have to keep the Sabbath day. They ain't gonna be able to bow down to them idols. That's what make them blessed. Because people like to go to that and be like, see, everybody going to be in the kingdom because everybody going to be blessed. Nope. They're going to be blessed because everybody going to be blessed because we're going to be keeping the commandments, but we still going to be ruling. It's still going to be ordering this thing. They're going to be below us in slavery. And the Edomites going to be cut off. So let me show you who the saints are according to the Bible. This is Psalms chapter 50 and 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. There goes that covenant again. That was in Ephesians 2 and 11. Let me get it. That covenant with sacrifice now. That covenant. So Ephesians 2 and 11 said, Ephesians 12. That at the time ye were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of the promise. The covenants of the promise. Now this will make this now this is how we know we saints. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. So the saints are the people that made a covenant with him by sacrifice. Now let's see who made a covenant with him by sacrifice. So whoever made a covenant with him by sacrifice are the Israelites according to the Bible. I mean, that's the saints according to the Bible. Let's see who the saints are. Because whoever made a covenant with him by sacrifice, those are the saints. Now check this out. It's also finna prove who his brethren is. Who is Paul's brethren? Is everybody Paul's brethren? He made it clear as day in Romans chapter 9. Check this out. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants. Covenants, that same thing that was used in Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 12 to show that when it said, remember that ye were being time past Gentiles. So it said the Gentiles received the covenants of the promise. So we know the only people that received the covenant of the promise were the Israelites. So it got to be talking about the Israelites that was in the Gentile state of mind. That's who Paul writing his letters to. And it also said it also proves who the saints are, because it said, who are the Israelites to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glories and the covenants. We receive all that. So when he say the saints are the people that made a covenant with him by sacrifice, that was the Israelites that done that. We're the only people that made a covenant with him by sacrifice. So we the saints according to the Bible. So when Paul writing his letter, he writing his letter to the saints, the Israelites. And when he say my brethren, he talks to the Israelites, because we're the only people that made a covenant with him. And he said, my brethren, that's like it. He said, my brethren according to the flesh, who are Israelites. So we Paul brethren. So he writing his letter to his brethren, which are the Israelites, which are us in the Gentile state of mind, that's worshiping these idols that ain't came back to the that didn't come back to the Most High and keep these commandments. This who he writing the letter to. He writing the letter to us as a warning to, man, get yourself right. Remember who you is. Come back to the Most High. This is our letter that he writing to. He went all the way around writing a letter to us. That's scared, because we scared among the heathen. Let me get that in James 1:1. And James tell you he went straight to the point. James already told you who he was talking to in this thing. This James chapter 1:1. Let me get 1 and 2 too, because he say my brethren too. And is everybody James' brethren? No, we know he an Israelite, and his brethren are the Israelites according to the flesh, who are Israelites, like Paul said. This James chapter 1:1. James, a servant of God and of your Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. So that's why Paul went and writing his letters among. That's why Paul started writing his letters. You know, he had to write his letter among the heathen, because we scattered everywhere. That's why he had to go around writing his letter everywhere, because we scattered everywhere. And it says, my brethren, counting all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. So that's why he said, count it all joy, my brethren. He's talking to his brethren, the Israelites. Everybody is not your brethren. And I made a video on that. Check my video out I just made on that. Everybody is not your brethren, bro. Everybody is not your brethren. Leviticus 19:17, Leviticus 19:18 tell you that everybody not your brethren. They're not your brethren, bro. But first, go to Leviticus 19:2. Because Leviticus 19:2 will tell you that he's talking to Israel. So every verse after that is referring to Israel. And it goes into my brethren, love your brother and all that. So let me show you. Let me show you this. Let me show you this, that we be scattered among these nations. It ain't nothing new. This Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, where the Lord shall lead you. So this was a prophecy. You know, now we seeing it. We were scattered among the nations. We still scattered among the nations. So that's why Paul had to go, and that's why the prophets, the apostles in Christ said he was only sent for the lost sheep of house to Israel, Matthew 15:24. But he had to go among the heathen. He had to go amongst the nation to get to Israel. Even you see it now when brothers be on the highways and byways. We trying to call our people in, but you see other nations around. We are amongst all the other nations, but we trying to call Israel in. So when Paul was writing these letters, he was writing it to Israel. There was amongst the nations, but he was writing a letter to Israel to get Israel attention. That's why he say to the saints and to my brethren, because to let you know who he talking to. So all the other nations and the heathen, they don't have no reason to put their hands on this letter. Because when they open it and they see to the saints and to my brethren, they know then it's not for them. But now, you know, now these other nations try to make Paul letters refer to them when it don't have nothing to do with them. Paul letters don't have nothing to do with them. When it say all men, when it use all men in his letters, it's talking about all men who he writing the letter to. It's not meant for everybody. If it was meant for everybody, he would have wrote the letter for everybody. But he didn't, because he only writes the letter to the Gentiles of Israel that scattered among the heathen. Same thing. Let me get this. I'm gonna pull this verse and I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna pull this verse and I'm gonna close out. First and foremost, when it say people love to pull this precept. And it's what I was saying before. It's Romans 10:12. For there is no difference between the Jew In the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich upon all that call upon him. So Romans. Let's see who wrote Romans. Who wrote Romans now? Who wrote Romans? Paul. We know that. I'm trying to show it to y'all. Hold up. Who wrote Romans? I typed it in. Who wrote Romans? And we already know who Paul will be writing to the saints and to his brethren. You can look at Romans. You can go to Romans. Let me see, can I get it for y'all, man? It's simple. It's so simple. But Christianity make you think. Christianity try to make it, try to, you know what I'm saying? They be trying to make it, everybody, they try to make you think he's talking to everybody. That's referring to everybody. But Paul, it's a letter. He writing a letter to a specific group of people. Let me see. I know it's somewhere. Con. This Romans chapter 1 verse 7. To all that be in Rome, beloved of God, called to be saints. This is who you're writing the letter to. To all that be in Rome, beloved of God, called to be saints. And I just broke down who the saints is. Grace to you and peace from God, our Father, and the Lord Yahushua. So Paul is writing all his letters. He writing to the saints, which everybody is not the saints. Everybody is not the saints, and everybody is not Paul's brother. Period. It's only the Israelites. I just broke that down to you. So when it says, for there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich upon that call. So like it all, for it say Lord over all is rich upon all that call upon you. So we find out who was Paul writing the letter to. He was writing the saints. He was writing to the saints, and the saints were the people that got the covenant. So when it say for there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. He's talking about when there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. You have our people that were calling themselves Greeks. So he letting them know it ain't no difference between us, because when you follow the custom of the other nations, you're gonna look at yourself as being one of them. And you already know the heathen hate us, so our people gonna start hating us because they think they one of them. So they looking at themselves as Greeks now. Just like in these fraternities and sororities, what are people calling themselves in these fraternities? They call themselves Greeks. Same thing they were doing back then in the book of First Maccabees and Apocrypha and Second Maccabees. They were calling themselves Greeks. They were following the customs of the Greeks. They were like, man, let's make a covenant with the Greeks. It ain't nothing new. Our people is still calling themselves Greeks in these fraternities and sororities. But are they Greeks? No, they Israelites. They Israelites, but they call themselves Greeks because they're in a Greek and Gentile state mind. They doing the same things the Greeks was doing back then in the fraternities. So when he said, for there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, it ain't no difference between us. We're the same people. My brother that's in the fraternity that's calling himself Greek, we're the same people. He's still an Israelite, but the only difference is he not keeping the commandments, and I'm keeping the commandments. So that's why Paul was letting them know, hey man, I know you're in a Gentile state of mind. I know you think you Greek, but there's no difference between us. Me and you. We the same people, bro. We the same people, bro. We both Israelites, but you only in the Gentile state of mind. So I'm writing this letter to wake you up, to try to get you out that Gentile state of mind. It's not talking about the actual blood Greeks, bro. They gotta pay. Them Edomites, they got to pay. Read the book of Obadiah. It's not talking about, when it says there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek, it's not talking about the Greeks that are Greeks by blood, them nasty Greeks, Alexander the Great. It ain't talking about them. It says, for there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich upon all that call upon him. So we got the same God. Them brothers and sisters that call themselves Greeks, it ain't no difference upon us. We got the same God. That's what he said. For the same Lord over all is rich. We got the same Lord. Yahweh Bahashim and Hawashai is both of our lords, bro. And if you want to think the Greeks is talking about the so-called white people and that God love everybody, he the God of everybody, Joel 2:27 tell you that he only God of Israelites, man. Joel 2:27 tell you that. This Joel chapter 2 verse 27. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. So he only the God of Israelites. He only the God his people. He the God of the whole world. which are the Israelites. Because, you know, the world is categorized in its own world. According to Isaiah 45:17, Israel is his own world. You feel what I'm saying? So his people are the Israelites. So he said, for he the Lord over all. We know he the Lord only over the Israelites, because he just said, I'm the Lord, your God, and none else. So that means he the Lord over, when he said he the Lord over all, he's talking about the Israelites. He's talking about the Israelites. So when he said, for them, say it again, for there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich upon all that call upon him. And I said earlier in the video, just because he say all don't mean he talking about the whole world. And I use that example about the classroom. It's talking about all who he writing his letter to. He writing his letter to he said to the Israelites, according to Romans 1:7. So the Greeks in the Greeks in this account right here are our people that's in a Gentile state of mind that were calling themselves Greeks. And we still doing it now to this day. So, and it said for the same, the Lord over all, cause we still got the same Lord, even though they in the Greek fraternities, even though they don't keep the commandments, even though they might still eat pork, hey, we still got the same God. We just on different paths. We keeping the commandments. Paul saying I'm keeping the commandments, but you know, y'all ain't keeping the commandments. Y'all doing a lot of wickedness, but you still my brethren. So I'm gonna write this letter to try to wake you up and let you know, man, that we got the same Lord with the same people, and to come back to your heritage. That's what Paul doing. That's what Paul mission the whole time. Wake up. So this is my video, man. This is my video on that, going into that. And matter of fact, let me get come on, that's all I'm gonna get. I don't want to make this video too long. That's all I'm gonna get. But just remember and read yourself. You will see. Paul letters, he was writing to the saints and to his brethren. And I broke down who the saints and his brethren was. There's only people he's talking to. That's the only people that he was worried about. He's not writing to the other nations. And it's two type of Gentiles. It's a Gentile that's a Gentile by blood, which are the heathens. And it's another Gentile, which are the Israelites, that's calling themselves Gentiles, that's in a Gentile state of mind. They don't know nothing else. They're doing this wickedness, following the other nations. So they looked at it as being Gentiles. We wasn't claiming them as being Israelites. That's why Paul writing this letter to try to, because he loved his brethren and sisters so much, he's trying to wake them up and tell them to come back to the Heavenly Father. This is what he's doing. So just remember that, man. Remember that, and read it like that. Read it, what I'm saying. Look into it and read it, and you will see, like, man, this is not written for everybody, bro. This is written to the saints, the people that received the promise. He writing to his brethren. We know everybody not his brethren, everybody not the saints. So he got to be writing to the Israelites that's in a Gentile state of mind. Feel what I'm saying? So this but the King, I'm gonna give all honor and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Say Shalom.